program is The Active Center. It's created by David Sappe.
Pronounced Seppi.
Pronounced Seppi.
All right, let's dive into a topic that shapes, well, pretty much everything in our society. This constant tug of war between the security we get from the government and the personal freedoms we hold dear.
So, let's just get right to the heart of it, shall we? Is the government your guardian angel, the thing that protects your liberty? Or is it a potential cage, the very thing you need protection from? As you're about to see, the answer is anything but simple.
And right there, that's what we call the freedom paradox. It's this deep, fundamental tension that doesn't have any easy answers. Honestly, it's a debate that has shaped entire nations for centuries.
And here's the thing you got to remember. There is no magic solution here. There's no one-size-fits-all answer. Instead, it's a constant balancing act. Society is always walking this tightrope, and every new event, whether it's a war, a pandemic, a new technology, it forces us to stop and rethink where exactly we draw that line.
Okay, so to really get a grip on this balancing act, we've got to look at two totally different ways of thinking about freedom. First up, let's explore the view that real liberty means being secure from your government. This idea is called negative liberty. The easiest way to think about it is freedom from things, especially from interference. The less the government is all up in your business, the freer you are. It's all about carving out a protected space where you can just be without someone telling you what to do.
So yeah, it all really comes down to one core idea: the right to be left alone. From this perspective, the government should have a very short to-do list. Protect people, enforce contracts, and that's about it. Your real security comes from the strict limits we place on what the state is allowed to do.
But what if that's not the whole story? What if just being left alone isn't actually enough to make you truly free? Let's flip the coin and look at the other side of this argument, the idea that true liberty actually requires you to rely on the government.
Well, that's where this other idea comes in, and it's called positive liberty. It says, hey, freedom isn't just about nobody stopping you, it's about having the actual ability to do things. I mean, think about it. What good is your freedom to get an education if you can't afford tuition? Or your freedom to be healthy if you can't access a doctor? This philosophy argues that the state has to provide the groundwork, things like security, education, healthcare, that makes real freedom even possible.
Okay, looking at this chart really makes the difference crystal clear. You've got negative liberty, which is all about freedom from your rights that protect you from the state, and then you have positive liberty, which is freedom to the rights that are actually provided by the state. One side sees government as a potential threat to keep on a leash, while the other sees it as a vital tool we need to build a good life.
So you might be thinking, why not just pick one and go all in? Well, that's where things get really dangerous, because when you take either of these ideas to their absolute extreme, you end up on this scary spectrum. At one end, you've got total chaos, and at the other, you've got the iron fist of a dictatorship.
There's a great metaphor for this. Too much darkness is blinding, sure, but so is too much light. Going all in on freedom from government leads you into the dark chaos of anarchy. But going all in on freedom through government can lead to the blinding light of tyranny, where the state sees everything. The goal isn't to pick light or dark, but to find just the right balance between them.
And this really shows you what's at stake, right? With too little government, you get anarchy. Freedom gets completely lost in the chaos, where life becomes, as one philosopher famously put it, nasty, brutish, and short. But with too much government, you get tyranny. Freedom is crushed by total control and oppression. Either way you slice it, at the extremes, individual liberty gets wiped out.
So this is the really critical takeaway. There's always a trade-off. It doesn't matter how good the reason is. Every single time we give the government more power to solve a problem, to fight terrorism, to provide healthcare, whatever it is, we are, by definition, giving up a little piece of our negative liberty, our freedom from.
So if both extremes are terrible, how on earth do you manage this trade-off without sliding down that slippery slope into chaos or tyranny? Well, let's look at the practical solution that many societies have come up with, what we're calling the Constitutional Balancing Act.
The whole idea is to thread the needle, right? To find that happy medium. You're trying to design a government that's powerful enough to actually provide order and protect you, but at the same time is constrained enough, is on a strong enough leash to keep it from becoming the oppressor itself.
And how do you build that leash? Well, it's really woven from four big ideas. First, the rule of law, which just means nobody, not even the government, is above the law.
Second, you have constitutional limits that clearly spell out what the government can and, more importantly, cannot do. Third, you separate the powers so no one person or group gets too much control. And finally, you guarantee certain individual rights that are just off limits, period.
You can kind of picture it like this. On one side, you have this bar representing government power, the force that provides security. But pushing right back against it is this other bar, the constitutional limits, the force that protects our liberty. They're in a constant state of push and pull.
And splitting up that power, absolutely crucial. By dividing authority between these different branches, the legislative, the executive, and the judicial, the system basically forces them to check on each other. It ensures no single part can just run away with the whole show.
And there you have it. That's the synthesis. That's how you bring these two clashing ideas together. A constitutional system tries to give us the best of both worlds. It embraces positive liberty by giving us a government strong enough to provide security, but it builds in all those protections from negative liberty to make sure that same government can't turn on us.
But here's the kicker, and we said this at the very beginning. This is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. Maintaining this delicate balance is a perpetual, never-ending job for every single generation. The debate is never really over.
And that brings this whole thing right into our world, right now. We're facing challenges the people who designed these systems could never have dreamed of. Mass surveillance, global pandemics, cyber warfare. The old questions suddenly have a brand new urgency. So how much of our freedom are we willing to trade for just a little more security? That line has to be drawn somewhere, and the question for all of us is, where?